But joining me now is New York Democratic Congressman Sean Patrick Maloney. He is a member of the House Intel Committee and is part of the latest groundswell of House Democrats to now say they support this formal impeachment inquiry that the Speaker just announced. So, Congressman, let me ask you this simple question. What changed today? What is it? What did let me ask the question this way for the public. They've been hearing about the committees doing oversight over this presidency for quite some time. They've been hearing about the idea that they've been thinking about opening an impeachment inquiry for quite some time. What should the public hear from Speaker Pelosi just now that's different?
Well, these are new allegations, and they could not be more serious. And we have only learned about them in the last few days. And we still don't know the full facts, but we know that the president has admitted to egregious conduct and that it relates to the very basic concepts of national security, of putting the public interest above your own personal interest. The idea that a president, any president, would go to a foreign leader and try to dredge up some smear campaign, a false smear campaign against a political rival, and threaten to withhold U.S. aid when that country is being invaded right now by the Russians. Unprecedented, Chuck. So what's new is that we have never been in a place like this before. This has nothing to do with the Mueller report. It has nothing to do with the 2016 election, though there are familiar echoes.
Right.
This is new information, and it could not be more serious.
Tell me about the caucus meeting that you just came out of. Was this, it felt as if this was all day long was sort of a slow rollout to where we got to today. She basically, here's what it looked like to me. She let people know she's moved on this. And she essentially gave everybody the day to decide if they wanted to announce that they were in. They had all day to announce that they were in. So tell me about the caucus meeting by 4 o'clock.
Well, I have to tell you, the mood was really somber. I don't think any of us are happy about where we find ourselves. You know, when you come to work in this building, when you come under this dome every day, sometimes you feel the full weight of American history and of your responsibilities and the oath you take. There's a little bronze plaque on the floor right back there in this room that says Abraham Lincoln, 1847 to 1849. He served one term in the House, and he lost his seat because he took a principled stand against the U.S.-Mexican War. Sometimes that history catches up with all of us, and I think what happened today was less the ticky-tack, who's up, who's down stuff that you hear from Washington. It was members coming to grips with the fact that the president has engaged in conduct that just cannot be okay. This cannot be allowed. If it's true, we need the whistleblower complaint. Yeah. We need the transcripts and recordings of these phone calls. There's no basis under the law for withholding them. They should have had them up here 2 weeks ago. And unless they completely dispel these allegations, he has left us no choice but to begin an impeachment inquiry. And I think the members feel that responsibility.
Is there a timetable in your mind about how long this should take? On one hand, the right answer, obviously, is you take as long as you need. And I get that. But let's be realistic here. You know there's a political calendar. You know there's sort of a finite amount of time. Is there a window here that you think that this investigation needs to fit itself into?
Well, bear in mind, the president could release all this information yesterday. The president should release the whistleblower complaint as he's required to do so by law. I see that he's agreed to release a transcript. That's great, but that's only the tip of the iceberg. If there are other recordings, audio recordings in particular, in other words, he should release all the relevant information. That would speed it up. But to your point, sure, we have an obligation to move expeditiously. Part of that is whether we get stonewalled by the administration. Right. But I believe it's important to give the American people the facts of what's going on before the next election, and not to politicize it, but to make it fair and to follow the facts. A lot of us are committed to that, and there's time to do that, but the administration has a role to play.
This is, to follow up on that point, this may be unlike the only other 2 impeachment inquiries within our time frame of sort of the modern era that we've seen, had opposition parties that basically believed in the premise of the institutions. It might not be the case that this opposition party believes in that everybody will believe in this in the premise of, hey, this is part of the Constitution, it's part of the process. How do you get even the basic level of cooperation in order to get this investigation completed?
Well, listen, these things don't always move in a straight line, and sometimes the dam breaks, and sometimes the American people make pretty clear that they want the truth to get out. And somehow the politicians sometimes catch up to that. I mean, look what happened in the Senate just today. You had a unanimous resolution that the whistleblower complaint should be up here, no ifs, ands, or buts. That's a bunch of Republicans covering their rear ends right now, and that's a good trend because they should care about this. This should be a bipartisan concern. No American president, Democrat or Republican, can muscle a foreign leader threatening a withdrawal of U.S. military aid to kneecap a political opponent. That can't be allowed in our system, and I am pleading with my Republican colleagues to take this seriously and keep an open mind.
Do you want a formal roll call vote to essentially that formalizes the impeachment inquiry? Put everybody on the record.
Look, there's going to be a time to stand up and be counted. You know, it's above my pay grade. I think what we're going to do is we're going to see this move forward in the way that makes the most sense. And there is going to come a moment when all of us are going to have to look in our souls and say what is right for the country. I hope that's informed by the facts, and I hope we do that in a way that has something bigger in mind than just our political self-interest or the next election or how it might affect any one of us. And think about the country, and that's what I plan to do.
And I want to close with something you did at the top of our conversation. You almost completely separated this from the Mueller report. And I don't know if you were doing that because you don't want it to so easily get conflated. But explain why you think it's important for people to view this separate and distinct from the Mueller report.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is that while there are echoes here and similarities, I mean, soliciting foreign assistance to help win an American election, obviously that's a theme. But the fact is that all of the critical events in question happened just in the last couple months, and the president has admitted to most of them. And they don't have anything to do with Bob Mueller. They all happened, I believe, after he testified to Congress. In other words, this has nothing to do with the rearview mirror or 2016. The question is whether you're going to allow an American president to run roughshod over our laws and our Constitution when you know what the facts are and they're happening right in front of your eyes. This is a new game today, and every member of Congress, Republican and Democrat, needs to look at the facts and look in the mirror and do the right thing.
Congressman, it's been, as you said, one of those days you probably will never forget. So many parts of today, and it may be only the beginning. Thanks for coming out and sharing your views so quickly after that meeting. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor, subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Beat the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.